Yo, what's going on, Sens and fellow hockey fans, and welcome to this week's weekly recap. And it was quite a week to be a Sens fan. Not the best week, I would say, in terms of wins and all that stuff, but there is definitely a lot of question marks I have about this team. But anyways, let's get into what this week's recap will entail. So first, we're going to be going over the first game of the week, which was against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yes, that was still this week. It feels like it was honestly a long time ago, but apparently it was at the beginning of this week. Then we took on the Vegas Golden Knights. We're going to take a look at that game, which was game 10 on the season already, and then also game 11 that happened yesterday against the Philadelphia Flyers. Then we're also going to do an overall thoughts on the entire week as a whole. We're going to take a look at our prospects as we always do. And then we're going to look ahead at next week and give some predictions on how we're going to actually do. So first, let's get into the first game of the week, which was against the Tampa Bay Lightning, where the Sens fall 4-3 in Tampa Bay. This game was kind of one of those games that we could have won, but we didn't because of bad defensive plays and stuff like that late in the game. But I will get to that when we get to that point. But anyways, so basically there was a couple line adjustments made before this game. So Dylan Gambrell would draw into the lineup for the first time this season in replacement for Brassard. So Brassard was scratched this game. Also, Gambrell was sent to the fourth line, so he was going to be the fourth line center. Kastelic was moved up to the third, and Shane Pinto was moved up to the second. Now, Tampa was missing some big pieces due to injuries, so Victor Hedman was not in this game, and Anthony Cirelli is still out with his injuries, so those two were missing from the lineup. So Tampa had some weaker players in the lineup, including guys like Cole Kopke, I think his name is, and they also had guys like Perbix and Fleury, so their team is definitely not as good as it was when they won Stanley Cups, but it's still a great team when you have, obviously, that offensive core, so we cannot take them for granted at this stage. Anyways, it was a fast-flying start to the first period for both teams. Both teams like getting a lot of speed and stuff like that. Not necessarily a lot of shots, but still a lot of speed I felt like early on in this game. And there was already an early fight in this game as well between Austin Watson and Patrick Maroon. So that was kind of funny 2 minutes in. So we got another fight this season. So we've had a lot of fights this early point in the season. Like I think we have like up to 7 fights or 8 fights already in this young season, which is kind of crazy. Our team was giving up a lot of early looks, and it was not looking too good for us early on, but then Dylan Gambrell would score the first goal of the game on his very first shot of the season as well. It was kind of because of I believe it was a bad play by, I think somebody on like Belmare or somebody on Tampa anyways turned it over, and Gambrell was all alone to slide it past Vasilevsky, so Dylan Gambrell making a very good impact early on in this game, which was nice to see. Now, since we go to the penalty kill early, and this would be a pretty much like a theme throughout the game, we took so many penalties, but the rest were really bad in this game. Like they were, it was almost like a clear thing that they were biased. It seemed like I might sound biased saying that myself, but I'm pretty sure there was a bias with the referees in this game because we peeled off so many penalties. It was ridiculous. But anyways, Stützle took a penalty for charging, which obviously was a little bit of a borderline one. Yes, he did run into him, but there was no clear like contact that would actually hurt a guy, so I don't really know if it would have been a charging penalty anyways. But Dylan Gambrell was making some good plays on the penalty kill. I found like he made some good sticks with Kucherov, not letting him get into the zone and forcing some offsides. In the Sens made a good penalty kill, but they did leave Ross Colton wide open in front of the net, so there was a lot of defensive miscues on that penalty kill. Forsberg was making some big saves at key times in keeping on to our 1-0 lead. And there was also a lot of blocked shots in the opening period from our defensive core. Like we were definitely getting in the lanes a lot more than we were against Florida. Because Florida, when we were playing them, obviously we gave up a lot of shots. So I guess the message between DJ and the team was to not have as many shots against. But we weren't generating really a lot of offense in that first period. And by the end of the first period, we were being outshot 10-3, yet we had a 1-0 lead. So we weren't really playing that great again. It was kind of similar to the Florida game where we got outshot badly in the first, but not as badly. And yet we still had like a chance to actually win the game. So, but Florida, we were down 2-0. So this game was definitely a much better step up at the beginning. Now into the second period, actually, there's some other interesting stats from this first period. I actually forgot that I wrote down some of these. So we actually blocked 11 shots in that first period, so they could have outshot us by a lot more. They could have outshot us like 21-3, kind of similar to what Florida did to us in that game prior. And we were actually the worst teams in the faceoff dot after the first period, 53-47 in favor of Tampa Bay. And also we were out hitting them 13-12, so a pretty physical opening period for the most part too. Now, Forsberg was making some big saves on the penalty kill early in the second period, and there was like a high sticking penalty to Sanderson right after the other one expired, so we were giving up way too many power plays to a team that has threats on it, which is not what you want to do. Ross Colton, though, kind of sold that one because I don't believe the stick actually even hit him at all, and yet he kind of sold it with his head going back, kind of like embellishing the call, but he basically Sanderson still got called for that. And then Sergachev would tie it up on the power play on a one-timer. There was no chance for Forsberg on that, and that was on the 15th shot of the game already at this stage. Then Mikhail Sergachev would take a penalty, and we'd get a big power play to generate some shots, but the team didn't really get any shots at all on the power play. Batherson had a good chance, and we had some good movement, but there was only one shot on goal on this power play, so the power play not doing what it should be doing. Then this is where things kind of start to go a little bit sideways for the Sens as well, even more so I should say, as Dylan Gambrell would take a 5-minute major penalty as he hurts Chernak with a clip. It's kind of hard to like explain the hit because it wasn't malicious by any means, but basically his shoulder, it went directly through the face of Chernak, and Chernak went down, and the referees decided that it was a 5-minute major, and he was ejected from the game. So Gambrell in his first game getting a goal and ejected from the same game, which is kind of crazy. And yeah, it basically went downhill in a sense from there. So during this 5-minute penalty, we actually took another penalty for too many men on the ice, so we had to kill off a full 1.5 minutes, and that was a scary thing, especially against a potent Tampa Bay power play. Like, even without Hedman, they still have Kucherov, Point, Stamkos, all those big guys like that. So anyways, the team was getting a lot of chances against, but we were playing really good still on this penalty kill. And Matty Joseph would actually get a breakaway shorthanded on this 5-on-3, and he would actually score a goal on this 5-on-3 to give us the lead 2-1. So it was a really greasy goal in that sense that we got a goal while on a 5-on-3 penalty kill. Now, yeah, it was a really crazy penalty kill effort. We blocked a lot of shots. We managed to get our sticks in the lane. Like, this was just probably one of the best penalty kills I've ever seen the Sens have in the entire time I've been a fan of this team, which is almost 20 years, which is kind of crazy. So there was anyways that, and we killed off the full 5-minute penalty. And then we took another penalty a little bit afterwards as Travis Hamonic would take a penalty, and once again we would manage to kill this one off. Now that goal would give us a little bit of momentum in a sense, and we would actually have a 2-on-0, and somehow Stützle and Batherson could not convert on Vasilevsky. Like, he managed to get the pad across because he's a big goaltender, and he managed to keep it at a 2-1 lead for Ottawa only. So it was 2-1 for us after the first two periods. We were being outshot 26-8 at this point. So once again, the shots are a big concern for this team at this point. And the face-offs were actually now in our favor, 54-46. So we started winning a lot more face-offs, so that also helped with our penalty kill. The shot blocks were 18-14. I believe in favor of us as well. And the hits were also tied at 19 apiece. Going into the third period, we took another penalty 11 seconds in, and we managed to kill it off, not allowing a single shot, which is great to see. So once again, the penalty kill was coming up huge with 15 minutes left to go. Cal Footwood didn't take a penalty for tripping Matthew Joseph, so Matthew Joseph had a really good game in this one, like definitely against his former team, scoring his first goal against his former team, playing great shorthanded. Like, he was definitely probably the best player on the ice for the Sens in this one. A little bit after that, Perry and Holden would also go to the box because of a little scrum, and we'd have a 5-on-4 power play, but once again, we just could not convert on this power play. And then with 8:56 left, Killorn would tie the game up at 2 apiece, and it would be a 2-2 game, which it was not looking good at this point because we're being still outshot badly, and Tampa's getting a little bit of momentum at this stage because of the amount of power plays they've been given by the referees. Kastelik actually went off a little bit late in this third period, but he did come back, so it was kind of concerning at first that he was going to hurt his back, but he managed to come back, so at least he should be back to like full health, I assume at this stage, but who knows, maybe he still has something underlining. But anyways, Brady would steal the puck from Vasilevsky, and Vasilevsky was not really that good in this game. He made some big saves, but also he did make some big mistakes. So Brady stole it from him behind the net and would center it out front, and Claude Giroux would score, and we would have a 3-2 lead. But literally not that much afterwards, Braden Point would tie the game up as he would catch the defense by surprise, and it would be a 3-3 game late, and the momentum was kind of going all crazy on both ends of the ice. So basically there was 3 goals a minute and 51 seconds apart, and this game was tied at 3. And then with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, Kucherov was left alone and he got a one-timer off, and he made it 4-3 Tampa with those 2 minutes left. So we were trailing the game late once again. We gave up another late goal. The Sens would pull the goalie with 2 minutes left and try and tie the game up, kind of similarly what they did against the Florida Panthers. Nick Paul would get an empty netter to make it 5-3, but unfortunately for Nick Paul and the Tampa Bay Lightning, it would actually be ruled offsides as he didn't have full control of the puck when he went over the blue line, so it was offsides. And then there was a good chance after that for DeBrincat to try and tie the game up with the goalie pulled, but it didn't work. We end up taking a timeout, and we didn't really draw up a lot until the final seconds, almost like with less than a second almost left. Brady almost sniped one top cheese to tie the game up, but he just missed, and unfortunately we would fall 4-3 in this game in Tampa Bay. But it was probably one of our best road games in a sense up to this point, just because we actually had a chance to win this game, but we fell off badly in that third period. Like, our defense could not hold that lead, which was the main problem, I would say, in this one, because Forsberg tried to keep us in it, obviously, and our offense was actually not that bad towards the end of it, but it didn't generate enough chances in this. Now, the final face-off stats in this game, the Sens actually out face-off Tampa Bay 52-48. We were 0-for-3 on our power play, so that was a big concern. Tampa was 1-for-8, so our penalty kill was fantastic in this game. But once again, too many penalties taken. Even if they are ones that are bad calls, we still need to be a bit more disciplined as a team. The hits were 32 apiece, and Tampa Bay blocked one more shot than us, 20-19. So we actually didn't have any block shots, I believe, in that third period, which was not good, because obviously if we would have blocked maybe a bit more shots, maybe we could have won this game at the end of it. So that was the first game of the week, and it was just a heartbreaking loss, because I thought like the team could have won after that shorthanded goal and after the fact that we went up 3-2, but then we blow the lead late, and it always seems to happen where our team just lets in late goals, you know. So then we'll get into the second game of the week, which was against the Vegas Golden Knights. In this game, once again, we fall by 1 goal, the score of 5-4. And this game was also kind of a roller coaster of emotions in a sense. I will just kind of keep this game a little bit brief, but basically we did make some line changes. So Shane Pinto would move to the top line, which was interesting, with Batherson and Tkachuk. Stützle would move to the second line with Giroux and DeBrincat, and Broussard would draw back into the lineup on the fourth line with Gambrell and Watson, and Parker Kelly was scratched for this game. There was a bad turnover early into this game by Thomas Chabot, and it landed right on the stick of former Sen Mark Stone, who would make it 1-0 Vegas early on. And we would get some good energy and chances for our fourth line in this game, so at least we were trying to push a little effort, but it was from our fourth line and not from our top guys, which is something you need. Giroux didn't score a knuckle puck goal from the red line almost. Like, it was a really weird goal, but it caught Logan Thompson by surprise because it bounced up off the ice and over his glove and in. It was quite the goal, and it made it tied up, which was great to see, but still a really lucky goal to score. So at this stage, we're still, in a sense, it feels like we're trailing because our goal that we scored was not really like a highlight reel goal, but it did get us back into this game. We were then getting better chances and getting more ozone pressure, which was good to see, because we definitely needed to step up from that, as we didn't really get a lot of shots in the last 2 games on the road in Florida and in Tampa Bay. Now, Mark Haselick would take a penalty for holding, and unfortunately Riley Smith would score on the power play, as Carlson made a good play to get past Sanderson. Sanderson kind of a little bit flat-footed, but he's young, so he'll make mistakes from time to time, but anyways, Riley Smith was able to be left all alone as Hamonic could not catch up to him, and Riley Smith would make it 2-1 for Vegas. Now, the Giroux, Stützle, the DeBrincat line was actually buzzing quite a bit in this period, getting some good ozone time, good tempo, good speed, and a lot of shots on goal, because I believe DeBrincat had like 4 shots on goal in this first period alone. Stützle had like 2, and Giroux even had some, so the top line was basically buzzing for the most part. Even, well, I don't know if it's really our top line, I guess I should say, but our second line was buzzing quite well in this one. Vegas would take a too many men on the ice penalty, and it was looking good, but Broussard actually hit the post on it, and it was killed, so that was our best chance on that power play. Late into this period, Zach Whitecloud would score to make it 3-1 Vegas in the final minute of plays, so a late goal against again. It seems like a consistent theme. We were down 3-1 with 32 seconds to go, and that would be the score after the first period. Shots were 16-13 in favor of us, but we were down 3-1. The faceoffs were 56-44 in favor of Vegas, so Vegas was outplaying us on the faceoff dot, mainly because I think they have good faceoff men like Chandler Stevenson's really good on the draw in that type of thing. They were also out blocking us 10-2, so we could have had a lot more shots if they didn't block so many shots in the lane, because they're a really good defensive team, so they know how to play like that type of style. And also we were out hitting them 12-9 in that first period. In the second period, Mark Hasseluk would go off in pain a little bit in this, so Hasseluk still feeling the side effects, it seemed like, of the Tampa Bay game a little bit in his back, so hopefully he is all right at this stage still, and hopefully he's not battling something into next week and all that type of thing. Drake Batherson would take a penalty for high sticking in early into this period, 2:28 in, as Eichelwood didn't score on the power play, banking it off Tyler Mott and in to make it 4-1. Now, what was interesting about this is once again the Sens would challenge this goal for offsides, and once again the Sens would be right on this call, and it would only be still 3-1 Vegas. So literally, the Sens have had 3 challenges in the last 3 games at this point, because Florida, Tampa, and this game, and they managed to succeed on all those calls. So good props to the video coaches and all that stuff, because they managed to spot a lot of good stuff in these games, it seems like, which is nice to keep us in these games at least. Then shortly after, there was a penalty to Vegas for high sticking to Michael Amadio, former Senators for only a couple games. And yeah, this power play once again did not convert, and also we gave up a shorthanded goal from Chandler Stevenson off a bad turnover from Stützle and another bad defensive play from Thomas Chabot. Chabot's been kind of lost early on in the season, and he made a bad defensive play, and it basically allowed Chandler Stevenson to walk right in and score to make it a 4-1 game. So there was some good looks on this power play, but we gave up the shorty, and it was just not a good power play by any means. A bit after that, William Carrier would score as he stole the puck, basically, I think it was from DeBrincat, and he would basically score to make it 5-1 on the 19th shot on goal. And Forsey was a little bit in too deep on that goal, so it wasn't really his fault, though, I would say on it still, but he was not in the best of positions to make the save. And yeah, Vegas would go up 5-1. Now, Cam Talbot would come in replacement for Forsberg, so this would be his Sens debut, and he would actually get a chance to play with the Sens for the rest of this game. At this stage, you wouldn't really be able to fault Forsberg on this game. It might have been basically about how much he's played in the last while, because he's played a lot of games so far at this point this season, so he was probably really tired, I would say, in a sense, and that's why he didn't play like himself, 5 goals on 19 shots, but also you could blame the defensive coverage for the most part. Braden McNabb didn't take a penalty for cross-checking, and Giroux would score from Jake Sanderson to make it 5-2 right after the power play expires. So we were getting momentum on that power play, and then Claude Giroux would score afterwards to get us up down to only a 3-goal disadvantage. Brady Tkachuk would draw an assist at the 15-minute mark. A bit after that, we'd have a good look from Brady on a net drive, so we were starting to get more momentum again and getting shots on goal. There was a good bank pass by Sanderson that nearly goes to DeBrincat for a breakaway goal that I saw that was kind of crazy. Like, basically, he shot it up so it would bounce off the boards out front of the net, and DeBrincat would race onto it, but unfortunately, he was not able to score. So literally, that was a very good chance for us to get even more so in the game. And then after that, we actually made a really good play late in the game. Nikita Zaitsev, of all people, would actually make an elite pass, I'd say, to bank it up to Brady Tkachuk. And him and Tim Stützle would connect, and it would be a 5-3 game just like that. So the Sens were only down by 2 goals now at this stage, and still trying to rally back, getting shots on goal and some momentum. So things were looking good at this stage for the Sens, but they were still in an early hole in this game, and that is probably why this game resulted in a loss. After 2 periods of play, the shots were 35-22 in favor of Ottawa, so we definitely outplayed them at this point. Faceoffs were 51-49 in favor of us as well, so we were getting better on the faceoff dot. Block shots still heavily in Vegas' favor, obviously 15-3, so we didn't sacrifice ourselves enough in block shots, or Vegas just didn't get enough chances to get us to block shots. We're also out hitting them 15-14 at this stage. Now, the third period was starting. They actually announced the attendance, which was 16,043, so really good to see that the attendance was that good for a Thursday night. I just wanted to mention that because the attendance has been up and down throughout the season so far, but literally it's good to see that there was 16,000 people at this game, even if it resulted in a loss. So in this third period, Timmy would score a second goal from Brady on a nice little given goal. So basically, Vegas turned it over. Stützle threw it over to Brady. Brady threw it right back over to him, and Stützle just buried it. It was a perfect goal. It was really nice to see, and it was 5-4 with a lot of time left. So we're getting a lot of good looks and momentum, and then Brady would take a penalty, unfortunately, and also on that Brady penalty, Nikita Zaitsev would get a penalty for closing a hand on the puck. So Zaitsev making a big mistake there, and once again, basically making what he made an elite pass earlier on, basically washed away because he made a really dumb play. And we'd be on a 5-on-3 in the third period for a full 59 seconds, which was kind of dangerous. There was 3 big saves on this penalty kill from Cam Talbot, and we managed to kill it off and gain a lot of momentum and chances on it. Sens would pull Talbot with 1:40 left, but unfortunately we could not tie the game again, and we would lose by 1 goal I think the 5th time at this point. It was another loss on home ice. Brady would get the 3rd star of the game with 3 assists. Timmy Stützle would get 2 goals in the 2nd star of the game, and former Sen Mark Stone would pick up a goal and assist for the 1st star of the game. Final shots were 46-32 in favor of Ottawa, so we were dominating this game for the most part. Block shots were 21-7 in favor of Vegas, so we actually had 4 block shots in that third period. Face-offs were 50-50, so good to see at least us still stay around 50% on the draw. And the hits were in Vegas' favor, 26-20. So unfortunately, we just could not get that 5th goal. We kind of dug ourselves in a hole early on, and then we could not respond fully to getting back in this game. But at least it was a game that we almost came back and won. But still, once again, this team is failing at things that they should be able to win earlier on. They need to play a full 60 minutes, not just 20 minutes of the game. They need to play good early on, and can keep a consistent game throughout the full 60 minutes. Then we're going to get into this 3rd game of the week, which was against the Philadelphia Flyers, where the Sens fall again 2-1 to the Flyers. Now, I was actually at this game last night, and this game, I can't really give my full analysis of this game because obviously I don't keep notes during the game, but basically this game was another one that we could have honestly won, but there was a lot of problems that kind of made us end up losing this game. At least it was a good defensive effort in a sense, but there was a lot of problems as well. So anyways, this was Claude Giroux's first game, obviously, against the Philadelphia Flyers since he used to play for them, so this was an interesting game for me to be at. I was actually literally sitting 2 rows back of both benches, so it's kind of right in between, which was pretty sick. So I got on television a couple times. There's also some other cool stories I'll talk to you guys about in a bit, but this was a really fun game. And early on in this game, 2:44 in, Claude Giroux would score his 300th career goal, of course against his former team nonetheless, and make it 1-0 Sens. And at that stage, I was thinking maybe this game is going to be more of an offensive game because early goals, maybe there's going to be a lot more from that point on. Well, there was another goal a little bit afterwards, 5 minutes and 17 seconds in. Hayes would score on the power play for the Philadelphia Flyers off a deflection from D'Angelo, and it would be tied at 1. So it was 1-1 at this stage, and I was thinking more goals were coming for sure. And we were out shooting them badly, I'm pretty sure, after the first period. It was a pretty dominant first period for the Sens, but we just couldn't get enough past Carter Hart at this stage. So it was 1-1 after 1. We go into the second period, and basically the Flyers actually dominated the second period. I believe I saw the shots were 17-5 for 2 periods, in that second period alone. So Philadelphia dominating the second period, and late in this period, of course, the Sens give up another goal to Zach McEwen of all people, and we go down 2-1 late in the second, and that's not what you want to do, is give up those late goals going into the third. It goes into the third, and basically Carter Hart completely dominates in net. We get a lot of chances in that period. We definitely pushed for that equalizer, but we could not find a way to score on Carter Hart, even on all the power plays we were given. We had 5 power plays in that game, and we didn't score a single goal. So the power play was not doing what it was supposed to be doing. We have all this skill level, yet we cannot convert on the power play. It is pretty concerning at that stage. The final shots in this game were 34-28 in favor of us, 59-41% on the face-off dot as well for us, 33-30 to hits in favor of us, and the block shots were in Philly's favor, 28-19. So Philly was only better because they blocked a lot of shots, and Carter Hart was really good. Unfortunately for Cam Talbot, who started this game, he did not get a win in his Sens debut as a starter. But at least it was a game that he could have honestly got us to win if this team would have been able to convert a bit more on the power play. Now, for interesting stories, a little bit late into the third period of this game, 3 minutes left in the third period, I was watching the play develop. Basically, there was a face-off, And yeah, what happened is like the puck went flying out of play, and obviously you know how I said I was sitting close in between the benches in this game. Well, this puck came flying up in the air, fluttering up, and it literally was going towards my mom. She was looking up at the jumbotron because obviously like it's hard to see around the corners when you're sitting that close. So she's looking up at the jumbotron, and the puck nearly hits her. I see it coming, and I literally like go to catch it and swat at it, and I actually get a game puck. I swatted it out of the way from hitting my mom first and foremost, which is the most important thing. And then it falls in between us and lands on the floor, and I pick it up, and look at this. It's an actual game puck from this game, and it's just pretty sick. So that's what this looks like. It's kind of neat because it actually has like little divots on it. I don't know if you guys could see that. Yeah, you might be able to see that. I believe that's how the NHL tracks like analytics and stuff. So we got ourselves an official game puck from this game as well. So I am buying myself a puck holder for that, just because that is a pretty cool memory. So even though the Sens lost in this game, I at least got a puck that made me actually kind of really enjoy this game, because originally I went because my favorite player plays for the Flyers, but he is still injured. But this was a really exciting game for me to go to just because of that. Anyways, now that we've done our recaps on these games, because I couldn't do really a full recap on that last game, let's get into my overall thoughts for the week. So I might have overrated some of these things, but that's okay. So offensively, I gave us a B+ this week, which I don't really know if it's justifiable because we didn't have a lot of shots in that first game against Tampa Bay. Like, I don't know how we stayed in that game, to be honest, and we gave up way too much penalties. So we definitely didn't get a lot of shots, but we could have probably had more shots if we weren't on the penalty kills so many times. But we managed to score goals in the last 2 games at least, so that kind of bumped up my offensive rating for the team. Defensively, I gave us a C- because there was a lot of games where we just were not that good defensively, and obviously we could keep the puck out of the net, but we just could not defend those offensive chances, and we gave guys a lot of open ice, which was not what we need to do. Goaltending, I gave a B+ to because Cam Talbot was actually really good, and I thought he definitely gave us a chance to win that last game of this week. Now, the top players of this week, I'd give Claude Giroux as one of them because he had 4 goals in his last 3 games. Obviously, the most recent one against his former team for his 300th goal of his career. Brady Tkachuk, I gave also a top player to because he had 5 assists in these last 3 games. He's been really good still. Tim Stützle has 2 goals, 1 assist in his last 3 games. And I also gave Cam Talbot 1 because in his first 2 games, well, first 1.5 games or whatever, he's allowed only 1.4 goals against average. He's got a .951 save percentage, but no win just yet. So he's been pretty good in his limited time here. Now let's get into our prospect watch and take a look at some guys down there in Belleville. So as you can see, Ridley Greig's up to 3 assists in 6 games. I believe he had a 2-assist game the other day. So good to see him picking up some points down there in the minors. Phil Daoust still has yet to play in quite a while, so he's also injured, I believe. Same with Robbie Urventi. Both of them are injured. He has 5 points in 8 games. Lassie Thompson's up to 5 points in 10 games. Sokolov's up to 9 points in 10 games, but he only still has the 1 goal, which is kind of concerning, because like I said, I thought he was more of a goal scorer. Cole Reinhardt's up to 7 points in 10 games, so still doing relatively well. Jacob Bernard Docker actually was called up at one point, but then he was sent back down earlier today, I believe, so he has yet to play in the last 2 games, but he's up to an assist in 8 games. Angus Crookshank's got 5 points in 10 games. I believe he scored against the Marlies last night, if I'm not mistaken. Victor Lodin's got 3 points in 5 games. He's still out with an injury, I'm pretty sure, as well. And Max Gannett has got 2 points in 10 games. So a lot of injuries down there in Belleville, and that's probably why a lot of these guys aren't performing too well and why the team hasn't been doing too well either. Now we'll take a look at our prospects over in like the United States and all that stuff. Tyler Clevin finally scored his first goal of the season in 9 games, so he's got 1 goal now. Nordberg's got 1 assist in 12 games. Oscar Pettersson's still doing really well with Rogel. He's got 13 goals and 9 assists for 22 points in 18 games. Jordan Donovan, 4 points in 9 games, but he's not really an offensive guy. Tyler Boucher was actually recently suspended for 6 games, so he is at 7 goals, 3 assists for 10 points in 9 games, but he won't be back for a while still because of a hit that he did, I guess. I think it was against a guy from the Sioux Greyhounds. Don't quote me on that because I actually haven't watched any OHL games, but I'm pretty sure he hit somebody pretty badly, and the guy ended up having like seizures, is from what I heard. So yeah, Boucher is out for another 5 games, I believe, or 4 games. Probably at this stage. It depends on how much the 67s have played since. Zach Ostapchuk's up to 13 points in 11 games, so he's doing pretty well. Amir's got 5 points in 10 games. Romeo's got 2 assists in 12 games. Latimer's starting to pick up a little bit more points. He's up to 12 points now through 14 games. And Ben Rogers got 3 points in 10 games. Then we'll take a look at our goaltending prospects. Mads Søgaard has started a couple more games. He's up to 5 games played with 1 win on the season with a 4.3 goals against average and an .892 save percentage. So he still hasn't been the best, but at least he's getting saves. It's just more the team, I guess, in front of him. I'm not really 100% sure with that. It could also be because of his injury he suffered earlier in the season. Kevin Mandolese has 5 games played with 2 wins, a 3.54 goals against average, and an .864 save percentage. So better goals against, but worse save percentage than Søgaard. Then we go to our goaltenders overseas. Levi Meriläinen has played 13 games with 6 wins, a 2.03 goals against average, and a .921 save percentage. And I think he's up to like 3 shutouts. So he's been really good still over there for Karpat. And our final goaltender prospect, Kevin Riedler, has finally picked up his 2nd win, but he does have a lot of losses through 12 games, so I believe the team in front of him is not that good. But still 2 wins on the season for him, 3.6 goals against average, and an .891 save percentage. So he is starting to improve with his numbers, which is pretty good. But at least I think it's just the team in front of him and why he doesn't have that much wins in so many starts. Finally, let's take a look ahead at next week's matchup. So as you can see, our first game of the week is against the Vancouver Canucks on home ice on Tuesday on November the 8th. They are currently 3-6-3, so this should be a game that we should be able to win. But then again, who knows with how this team's been trending. We've lost 5 in a row at this stage, so this is going to be a tough task. Vancouver does have a lot of good players on their team. Kuzmenko has been really good as of late, so we definitely need to find a way to contain that team. Then we're going to be taking on the New Jersey Devils in New Jersey on November the 10th, who are 9-3 at this stage. New Jersey's been really good. They are on a 6-game winning streak according to NHL.com, and yeah, they are just a really dangerous team. Jesper Bratt's been really good this season, so we definitely need to find a way to somehow contain their big guns if we want to get a win in that game, especially on the road too, which is going to be even more tough for this team. And our final game of the week is against the Philadelphia Flyers. So we do take on Philadelphia again a week later after yesterday's matchup. This will be Claude Giroux's first game in Philadelphia against the Flyers. So it should be interesting to see him get a nice standing ovation. But once again, the Flyers are 6-3-2. So once again, another team that are doing better than us that we have to find a way to beat. So these 3 teams, I believe all of them are going to pose a little bit of a problem for us, especially New Jersey, I'd say. Philadelphia, we might be able to squeak out a win if we could solve Carter Hart a little bit more. And Vancouver, it depends if we can contain their guys that have been scoring like Andrei Kuzmenko. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this week's weekly recap. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully the next week ahead is a bit better of a one, considering we've lost all 3 games this week. But let me know what you guys think down below, and we'll see you guys next week.